fam. Today I wanted to just move through a little tip that I've picked up. It's been really helpful in helping me navigate how to really hold space for and healthfully process different emotions. And I've been sharing it with other people in my community. It's been super practical and beneficial for them too. And it's really freaking simple. It's all about perspective. I'm gonna rewind a little bit. In order to heal and move through and release different aspects of ourselves, different emotions, different attachments, different experiences, unfortunately, the only way out is through. In doing this, we have to hold space for the heartbreak, the anger, the grief, the sadness, the hurt, the frustration. We have to hold space for these things. Otherwise, they get suppressed and stored and come out through our subconscious. They're limiting beliefs that we act from that in turn influence how we move through this world, the opportunities we allow ourselves to have. They can be projected onto others in our relationships where we might be acting from wounds or limiting beliefs, things like that. It can be really difficult to create room for these emotions because that's shadow work, and it's scary. It's intimidating to have to create room for these things that are so painful and uncomfortable and things we wished never happened or we didn't have to experience or that we had known better at the time. But unfortunately, that's how Earth School works. Welcome to Earth School. Your soul signed up to be here. Your soul signed up to move through and figure out how to do all of this, because being a human is one of the only places that we have actual feeling. There's tons of different people that discuss their out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences, and they return to this blissful, expansive light where they're not bound by a vessel. They're not bound by the density of emotion and feeling. So a perspective shift for that is realizing that we chose to come here to alchemize these different feelings and to experience them wholly and fully. Emotions are just energy in motion. They need to move through us. We are just a vessel that receives them. And my favorite analogy for this is picturing yourself as a television, right? Old school TV. We have the signal coming in and we receive the signal of whatever channel that we're tuned into. It can be a signal telling us about all of the lack and the darknesses and how embarrassing we are and terrible we are and unworthy we are. We can tune into a channel that is very expansive and positive and aligned and magnetic, filled with gratitude and love and joy for ourselves and the life that we live. And we can be tuned into any channel in between. So we pick up this signal and we project it out of our screen. We project it through our eyes. And that is the world that we experience. People say you create your own reality, and it's true. The way we see the world is what we're aligning with and what we're tapping into here. Tuning into and seeing with awareness what channel we're hooked on, what image we're pouring out into the world. It will radically change a lot of things. With this awareness, we're then able to see how to best serve ourselves, how to best move out of those lower energy, constricting, restrictive, dense is really the word and the feeling that I get when I try to explain this. We move out of that space by allowing these emotions a safe place to move, by peeking into that anger and sadness with compassion and saying, what do you need? What can I do for you? Do you need to be heard? Do we need movement? Do we need to write about it? Do we need to talk about it? Do we need to paint about it? Do we need to go for a walk? Do we need to go to the gym? Do we need to meditate? Do we need to read? Do we need to just have a self-care day? We can hold space for these emotions without letting them overcome us. That has been a really big teacher for me. I feel things really deeply, and I know others that do too, in trying to do this healing work and trying to create room for these past wounds so we can release them and shed them. Sometimes we get swept up by them. Sometimes we become them all over again. And in trying to release the anger or the heartbreak we have for a past love, or release the frustration and the hurt from poor parenting situation from our childhood, sometimes we accidentally embody and get stuck in this loop, in this cycle of these emotions again. All of a sudden you're feeling this intense anger all over again, as if it was the same day. And what's wild is your brain and your body don't necessarily know the difference between the first time it happened and the 1,000 times you've replayed it since. Your nervous system, your hormones, the chemicals in your body will all refire in the same sense and capacity as they did when the initial event happened. That is where feeling and healing is important, but the key that I've uncovered is the perspective we have on it, right? It is about holding space for these emotions. It is about creating room for these to express and expand, but even more so, it is about being the container for it. It is about being the structure, that compassionate container, that space for the emotions and the energy to swirl around while you are on the outside looking in. I've been practicing this lately, and it has brought a lot of insight and awareness to what I'm moving through as I try and release a lot of the weight and the heaviness in my heart. I've lost a few people and a lifestyle and gained so much more in its place, but there's always this kind of grief that seems to creep its way in. As I would hold space for that grief in my life, I noticed that that grief would be kind of overwhelming and over-encompassing because I'm allowing myself to be immersed in it over again, thinking that's the key of the feeling and the healing. But what I noticed was holding space through these emotions in meditation and witnessing myself tending to the emotion, witnessing myself creating room for the emotion instead of just creating room for the emotion and being the direct observer of it. I'm now instead zooming out, watching this whole thing come together and making sure that I am taking care of my needs while being the container for the emotion. Sort of like an inner child, inner adult moment. My inner child is the one expressing and holding this emotion, and my inner adult is tending to this container that my inner child is in. And by being on the outside of the experience, having that groundedness and that healed masculine to be the safety and the stability and the knowing that I can remain grounded and stable while moving through this emotion, which I think is a concept that's really hard for people. We can kind of shift and tweak and contribute to the container of the emotion a little bit more intentionally and groundedly without getting swept up by it, without the sadness overrunning. And that doesn't mean don't scream into your pillow or don't cry your eyes out, depending on the emotion you're releasing. But it's about having that zoomed out perspective and awareness and understanding that this is for a greater good, this is temporary, this is a release. And this is not to reactivate all of those hormones and chemicals to thinking that the experience is happening again. But it's here to hold space for and witness that emotion for what it needs. It will stay in our body and in our mind and in our subconscious and running our lives until we give it the attention and the validation it requires. A lot of us look outside for this. We think the relationship will make us feel better. We think the money will make us feel better. We think all these external things will make us feel better, when in reality we're just looking for that safety and that nourishment and that comfort and that love from ourselves. What's backwards and hilarious about it is it's not until you become your own best friend, you date yourself, you become your fiercest lover, your most trustworthy ally, and your safest space, that the other pieces can finally come in. We need to become that which we wish to attract. And if we're looking for love and stability and groundedness, we need to become those things before the universe can bring more of that to us. It's really just math. As we expand ourselves, create that room and container to be who we need to be, and we bring ourselves up, we can then attract other levels of abundance and opportunity and love to us to match us up here, versus hanging out down here thinking that these things can come find us. But that's a big gap. So that's the work. Is being there for yourself, elevating yourself, creating room for yourself to expand and grow and support and love and experience. Be present through all of it. All storms run out of rain. No flame burns forever. So just know whatever you're moving through, it's temporary. The only constant in this world is change. And there's nothing on your plate you can't handle. There's no mess you can't clean up. There's no emotion too big or too scary for you to compassionately embrace and heal on your own. If you would like some support or clarity or insight on different energies to focus on, different pain points to tend to, I do have an offering that I'd love to connect with you and kind of shine some light and help you figure out what steps could be next for you on this abundant, beautiful journey you're on. Stay blessed, and I'm wishing you the best.